SoundGrid network bandwidth capacity. Whether you are setting up one local SoundGrid network or a SoundGrid supersystem, knowing and understanding the math around a SoundGrid system's maximum capacity is essential. The numbers: 256 input channels and 256 output channels can pass through a SoundGrid system at 96K. So how do we calculate this? 1 gigabit per second equals 1 trillion bits per second. SoundGrid sees one sample of audio as 32 bits. Divide 1 trillion by 32 and you get 31,250,000 samples per second. To know how many channels we can use, take the number of samples and divide it by the sample rate. For 96K, you can technically fit 325 channels. SoundGrid allows 256 channels, since we reserve the rest of the space for data packets. If you are using 44 or 48K, you have a maximum of 512 channels. I/O sharing between multiple systems. When using the I/O sharing feature, pay close attention to your maximum bandwidth, as you can reach the network's capacity very quickly. For example, 128 input DigiGrid MGB audio interface patched to 2 hosts will use half the 1 gigabit network capacity of the SoundGrid network. In this case, the device will output 128 channels, but twice, equaling 256 channels at 48K. So here's a summary. Taking a step back, here are the basics that help you understand maximum channel traffic. Wave SoundGrid can pass 256 channels at 96K over a 1 gigabit network cable. The maximum number of channels that can pass through a SoundGrid DSP server is 128, although eMotion LV1 does allow for 2 extra voices for talkback. Most SoundGrid-compatible interfaces have a limited number of inputs and output channels, 64 inputs and 64 outputs. However, the DigiGrid MGB and MGO interfaces can reach 128 channels by adding 2 streams of 64 channels per box. Another exception is the Allen & Heath M-Waves V3 SoundGrid card, which is also capable of 128 channels. A computer running the SoundGrid driver can pass 128 channels. Lastly, remember, a SoundGrid qualified network switch can handle a limited data rate, regardless of the number of available ports. Thank you for watching the SoundGrid 301 video series. We encourage you to download the included troubleshooting PDF guide. If you are running into technical issues you can't solve on your own, please contact Waves Tech Support.